any movie with a SWAT team in it, they're shooting people every day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they walk away from it.
Oh, yeah. They walk away from it.
Commercial break.
Commercial break. You know.
They go back to work the next day, which is the big funny one.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Support for the Suffering Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle.
Inside the package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker Ear, Nose, Hair Trimmer, and the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant.
And we also got the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. This thing is a life changer. Along with that, boxer briefs.
I'm going to tell you what, these are like high quality boxer briefs, and this is no joke. I'm not saying this just because Manscaped sent it to us. These are nice. My boys are going to be quite happy in there.
You can't tell Kevin's wearing them under the table right now. And we also have a nice travel package.
Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TSP at manscaped.com.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of balls.
Let's do it. So that became like, that's when we see guys now, like, jiu-jitsu, all this stuff is so big. Like we were doing that in the 90s. We were beating the shit out of each other in the trailers with red man suit, rolling on mats. This guy, Bobby Teeple, he looked like Dick Buckus. He was like a monster, and he's like belly to back suplexing me all over the place. But we were like learning, and I was just enjoying it. And then, so I'm like, okay, I'm like de facto getting on this team, and I'm like enjoying this job. And then come 1996, the major storm of 1996, I get this. My son is born January 1st, and I get the letter from Piscataway. Because what happened was my father-in-law and his brother, who was a chief of Rahway, and his other brother, who was like a sergeant major from the state police, whatever, they knew the chief from Piscataway and made the call. And he was like, listen, we're going to hook you up, this and that. I'm like, oh, my God. So I remember telling my father-in-law, I said, listen, I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to shine, and he goes, I don't want to expect anything less. And then I burned my 30 days at the jail and went to the academy, and I just, full Monty, man. I was on a mission.
It's funny you said that storm in 96. My swearing in with the sheriff's department got pushed off for a couple of days because of that storm. Yeah. Because they shut down like it was the first week of January.
Now, when you took that job, was it what you expected? The police job?
Yeah.
You've been watching SWAT for so long. Was it what you expected?
It was, because I was received faster than most guys now.
See, that's odd. Yeah. That's odd to me, especially with your hook.
Yeah.
You have guys that break their ass getting in.
Right.
And then somebody comes in with a hook like that.
Yeah.
In Chiefs towns, because I was a Chiefs town, they're always looked at funnier.
Yeah.
You got to prove yourself.
Yeah, you do.
You got to prove yourself because you're not just Joe Blow's son-in-law that just got the job.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you were a Chiefs town as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody's got a hook in a Chiefs town, especially back then.
Yeah, and you're right, because like when I was an instructor at the academy, you saw a lot of that, right? Like watching certain people, and that's why I said to my father-in-law and even Chief LaRocque at the time, I'm not gonna let you down. And I went into the academy and I smoked everything. Like I won top overall recruit.
Oh, you were one of those guys.
I was.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't care. And people would whine and complain, and I'm like, this is the best part. My son was colicky. My wife, I was trying to help her out, and I sucked at it. And so they wanted to I was trying to be just a guy in the academy. And then I became a squad leader. So, okay, that's good enough. Military, whatever. Then
I'm surprised they didn't make you XO or CO.
Well, we had it was like almost 60 people. So we had 2 platoons. Then they made me a platoon leader. And then they started firing a bunch of people. And I'm like, I go home, tell my wife, I hope they don't make me class leader. I don't want to be the guy. And she's like, why? I'm like, I just, with Joey and then the kid, and I just don't want this nonsense. Like, I did it in Corrections Academy. Like, I got humbled there. Like, I did good, but I messed up on firearms. Like handgun. Like, I was great with a rifle, but I was one of those guys that sucked with the handgun. And that was my humble moment for firearms. I was like, I'm going to learn from this.
Yeah, I'm never going to do that again.
So then, I'm going through this academy, and they bring me in, and they're like, big chambers, like, we want to make you class leader. I'm like, well, sir, is that a choice? What do you mean? And, I'm like, well, I have a kid who's colicky at home, and I'd rather see somebody else like you're going to disgrace the academy. They're yelling at me, and I'm sitting there, and the next thing they're calling the chief. They're playing a game, and the chief gets on the phone. Hey, good old Italian guy. Hey, Jose, come on. Just do what you got to do. If they want to make it, you should be proud of that. You represent Piscataway. Like, okay, chief, no problem. All right, I'll be class leader. And then then they say, so now you got to pick 2 platoon leaders. I'm like, fuck. Sorry. Harry Sheeman, this guy, Harry, great guy, and former military Army guy for the sheriffs. I'm like, I'm going to make him. And then I see my riding partner, Connie, who worked with my department. Girl was like nervous as hell. She was a dispatcher, but she was nervous as hell the entire academy. So I said, I'm going to make her. And my mindset was, okay, between me, Harry, this person with no experience, we're going to show them that we can make somebody a leader. They yell at me, get somebody else. I'm like, sir, if you want me to take this position, we'll throw you out. I was like, I'm standing my ground. I said, we want to make her. What good is it putting a bunch of military folk up here all across the board and not giving somebody a chance? And
they may surprise you, and
Especially-
that's how you
especially
find
if
the
you see-
diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
Especially if you see potential in someone.
Yeah.
Now you got to mold them into a leader.
There was something in her that you saw.
Yeah.
That you were able to identify. It's like, yeah, I want that. Whether it's whatever it is, it's loyalty, ability, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I was one of the few non-military. I was a squad leader. I was one of the few non-military guys. And as a squad leader, I had so much fun as a squad leader. Because you got to follow the drill to do inspections and stuff like this. And what I always used to do is when I got in front of somebody, we weren't allowed to laugh. My drill was a Force Recon Marine, so serious. So I would stand behind him, and my stomach was always upset. My stomach's still upset all the time. I would fart. And they'd have to stand there at attention and smell my ass. And not laugh.
Right.
And not laugh. And that was the hard part. But I had so much fun in the academy because of stuff like that.
Well, you think you had it hard.
Yeah.
I was a squad leader. I had Nicky Burke on my squad.
Yeah, you poor guy. Poor guy.
Hoboken guy.
Oh, yeah.
He was
I can imagine with
out of his fucking mind.
You can't understand what they say, first of all. You
Yeah.
got to get a translator in there.
that Hudson County, they're like, oh.
So when you got out of the academy, doing so well in the academy, did it give you a little bit of credibility, or you were you were dog shit at that point?
No, I sensed it. Like, I knew I was going to come in because of my my brother telling me the inside scoop and my father-in-law. Like, plus being in the jail, like you heard the whole rookie thing. So I was ready, Teflon to it. So my mantra to myself was, I'm going to learn with my ears, not with my mouth.
That's the word that I always hated, was rookie.
Yeah.
I fucking hated that word because you might it was like a racial slur to me.
Yeah.
I'm a new officer. I don't know what I don't know. Right. But my drill told us this. He goes, you'll get out and you won't have the experience that these guys have, but you'll have better book smarts than them, and you can learn the experience. Yeah. They have to go back and relearn the book smarts, which they're probably not going to do.
Right.
So you have that advantage over them. Don't ever let anybody call you a rookie. And that was instilled into us.
I used to love when they say, hey, kid, I'm 30 years old. I'm not a kid.
Yeah. I mean, so, when I came in, it was like really like open arms because I just, got gelled with a lot of alphas, a lot of the detectives, and we had a ERT unit. It was always this is so funny. It was like emergency response team. The chief brought me in, and the lieutenant at the time, one of the first cops in the shooting in Piscataway, Rich Gregory, great leader, Marine Corps veteran. He goes, listen, you ever want to join the county team? Put a word in for you. I said, well, I just got here, sir, this and that. Well, we got ERT. We want to get you involved, perimeter guy. We want you because you have the physique and this and that, and you're representing. Bunch of guys with thick mustaches, looked like porn stars, and all our training was this finger guns. There was no blue guns. And like pew pew, yeah, and you had the one instructor when you did the entry. He never died. Like he's going around the room, and you're getting a beat on him. He's like, nope, wounded. You missed me.
You missed.
I'm like, holy shit. But we did primarily a lot of like barricaded stuff. No entry work other than barricade, talking people out, perimeter. But then the county guys say, hey, we need some new young bloods, and so we interviewed a guy, Rocco Mazzo, who ran a county team at Middlesex, and like 3 of us got accepted. I'm like, so I'm waiting for a PT test. No PT test. ERT? No PT test. I'm like, what the fuck is that shit? I'm like, what is going on here? And they're like, no, just come on board. And there was like, it was like probably 70 dudes on that county team. And I'm like, in my mind, it's already like, there's just too many people here. Like, and I'm a young guy. I'm just being quiet. And the training was just like, it was just so, like you're just standing around watching paint dry. It was horrible.
Were you a little disappointed?
Yeah. I was like, it's SWAT, and no, eventually you're going to get in and do these jobs. And
We're supposed to be gung ho. We're supposed to be the people that the cops call when they need help.
Right.
Well, you watch movies with any movie with a SWAT team in it. They're shooting people every day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they walk away from it.
Oh yeah, they walk away from it.
Commercial
and they
break.
Commercial break.
They go back to work the next day, which is the big funny one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they're driving in the car.
They go back to work right after it.
Oh yeah, right after next day.
Load their guns up, clean everything up. They go back to work.
Yeah, I was just like mystified. Like, what the hell's going on? So I was there for a little bit. Then I was at ERT, and then eventually ERT got disbanded. New business administrator came in, squashed it. That was it. So I'll stay on the county team. We started doing a couple entry jobs. Okay, no big deal. But there's still no standards. And I was like expecting PT and shooting drills and
you want to be the cream of the crop. You want to
Yeah.
be the best of the best and called on when
Right.
the average street guy can't handle.
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's I said. That's SWAT is the people. When people need help, they call the police. When police need help, they call SWAT.
Right,
SWAT.
right.
They call SWAT. You're supposed to be the one that is far more more advanced.
Yeah.
So how long were you there? Did you stay on that the rest of your career?
So I was on county team probably like 3 occasions. I'd go break up with them, come back, and then a couple months after Columbine, '99, the new chief brought me in, and he said, I want to form a response team. That's how our full team was formed. I was like, so how you want to do this? He was like, let's get as many enough people. The best team, the best training. And he goes, I said, what's my limitations? He goes, obviously it's not going to be full time.
That's something I want to get, the autonomy. If a chief comes in there and says, I want you to develop this team,
Right.
usually the next sentence is, but I want this person on it and this person on it and this person.
Yeah, he didn't do that.
Yeah.
He was like, he goes, I just want the best team for this. He goes, because we want to be the first on the East Coast to do something. And I got to say, to this day, I can brag that our department is one of the first in the East Coast, and I'll explain, to put a lot of heavy standards in place. So
That was Columbine was like 97. That's really
yeah.
early on in your
Yeah,
career.
it was big time. It was like he wanted, because he knew I was into this with the county, so I brought my other partner, Artie Randolph, and then a guy, Anthony Crisfoli, and we put our minds together. This is what we're going to do. And I started calling on the hard lines because we didn't have cell phones. I'd call LA County Sheriff, LA SWAT reps and say, hey, Piscataway, we're trying to put a local team together. Can you tell me what your recommendations are for a standardized team, local team, how many hours a month? So at the time, the woman, I remember, Sergeant sent me all the paperwork in the mail, and it was 240 hours a year for a part-time team. That's what they had their standard in LA.
That's a lot of time.
So basically, I calculated, 2 10-hour days a month for 12 months. I went in, sold it to the chief. Plus, our shift was 10 3/4 hour, 4 on, 4 off, 10 3/4 hours, and then our detectives worked the 4 and 3, 10 hours. So I'm like, this is perfect. I said, this is what I want to do. He says, let's do it. Next thing you know, we started building a roster of names. So that first 6 months of building was no like, hey, you're on the team, let's go. We had to put a process. We had to put entry level, interview. We put a testing together, PT test, and then we came up with the shooting test, and then we started doing beta tests on it to make sure all these guys and gals. And we actually had the first for Jersey, one of the first female medics, who's also a full-time cop on our team. And we would have her do ride-alongs on her days off if she wanted. She'd go ride with Camden. She'd go ride with Newark. She was up in the Bronx. Like, she was badass.
Yeah.
And she was getting like real-time stuff, and she was on our team. And we had our 10-hour days of training twice a month. We were 9.5 hours of training. And when we mean training,
Yeah.
it was like some dudes and gals are like, oh my God, this guy's going to kill us. And
So I want everybody to grasp that concept. You are going to show up in Piscataway. How many calls on an average year did you get for SWAT in local?
Once the team started rolling, we were averaging about 3 to 5 jobs a week for like.
Wow.
About
That's
12.
a lot.
12 years straight.
All right, 3 to 5 jobs a week. See, that's on the high end too, because I'm thinking 240 hours for an average department. SWAT will be called out maybe 3-4 times a month, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of training. And I want everybody to realize how much work goes in behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the time the SWAT shows up on site,
The shit has hit the fan already.
yeah, it's bad. It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
So they have to be very sure in what they're doing at all times.
Oh, yeah.
When you see that black truck pull up, you know the shit hit the fan.
Oh, yeah. And the initial mission was when we started the whole team and everyone was formed on paper and then guys were starting to train. And every training day, it was a PT component. It was all physical fitness, whether it's self-defense, grappling, jiu-jitsu, everything was going down in the morning or the afternoon. But we were doing it. And then, but the goal was active shooter. So the first mission of our training was we were going to schools and businesses, and all we were doing with video cameras and notepads, and all our guys were doing was just walking through these places, labeling stuff.
It was still 4-man teams back then, right?
Yeah.
And then it went to 2, and now it's single, right?
Yeah. But we were just, our team members were just walking through doing analysis. So we were like, okay, group 1, group 2, you go to this school, and we were just doing surveys, assessment, and then we come back. And then we started labeling the doors. And you're talking 99, 2000. We're labeling doors, and we're doing all this stuff. State Police and us, we started training together. NTOA came out. We started using some of their training models and, of tactics and stuff. And we just started building on it. And then as I started teaching at the police academy on a steady basis, you started cultivating skills from veteran guys. I was like, and I was one of those guys. I go to classes and I learn from some good people, and then even from the goofy instructors, I always learned something. Whether
you got to pick something out that's going to fit you.
Yeah, that's what I did, and we were just killing it. Like we were just tearing these dudes up, and like we were having a good time. And it was what happened in SWAT stayed there. Like, and the chief was loving it. And, because twice a year you had to do PT standards and shooting standards. And after about the 5th or 6th year, some of the guys started getting comfortable. Like, Medina's getting a little crazy. There were detectives in the back, and they'd go running to the captain. Like, you think you can lighten up? We're on the team now. No one really can make the team. Very few people are making it. I think we should be grandfathered in. And, I had straight line to the chief. And I'm like, the chief's like, yeah, the captain's saying some guys are bitching. I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, they're saying that maybe you should give them a little soft toe dance. I'm like, oh, see you on the next drill. Next drill, boom, knocking dudes down, man.
I fought.
if they're bitching, and good, get them off the team.
Yeah, exactly.
I fought for years to try to, and the only way it'll change is if there's some sort of financial compensation. I used to try to get physical fitness standards put into our contract.
Yeah.
Because nothing to me looks worse than a guy who's just let himself go.
Yeah.
The uniform's always wrinkled. It just doesn't look squared away. And you take away constructive authority when that happens. But I came up with, and I tried to sneak it into one of the contracts we were negotiating, and half the department just was so against it. And I said, it's not mandatory. It's voluntary.
You can't make it mandatory, because if someone gets hurt or something, then your department gets sued for it.
I wanted to make it voluntary, where you got a small little stipend, nothing crazy. And I put together all these different standards. It was like, run a mile and a half in 15 minutes, which is very easily doable. It's a 10-minute mile. That's all it is. And boy, the pushback that I got.
I did the same thing. I went to the chief. I said, because I get certified as a police conditioning instructor, and I made up this whole program about what we could do to get guys in shape. Like you said, it's a voluntary thing. Mm-hmm. I said, how about voluntary thing? If they pass it, they get 4 hours in their time back.
Yeah.
Do it twice a year, you get 8 hours.
Yeah.
I brought it up to a PBA meeting. The guy said, who are you to tell me to get in shape? I said, that's it. Goodbye. I took the paper, ripped it right up. I said, Chief, we're not doing it.
Yeah. I got to say, our place, the last bunch of years before I left, we had that, and we did it, and it was going well. Like, we literally once a year, every June, if you volunteer, and it was set in stone. We did it. And it was kind of one of those things, like the town didn't know about it. The chief and the captains were like, hey, let's do this to kind of boost morale. And in exchange, you get a full day off. Like, actually, you'd get, if you completed and passed the PT test, you'd get 2 days off.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
And then if you didn't do it and didn't pass, they'd give you 1 day off.
State police does it. So why
that's
should
an incentive, right?
Why shouldn't every department do it? You're getting better, healthier officers. The insurance companies should be all over that, because you're getting healthier officers who aren't going to bleed the system.
Oh yeah, and then you had this 7-foot giant. He pulls his hamstring, instead of just like, he pulled his hand on a run or the 300 meter. I think we had, kind of instead of shaking it off, like he made a big issue out of it. And then he played the, well, I'm hurt. And we're like, oh, dude, like you're going to get us crushed. And then, they were like, listen, just don't make a big deal of it. Go get your therapy, whatever like that. And, he was just looking for like, what's an injured on duty type thing. And he was just I'm like, dude, you're pushing this. And then town knew about it. Like, we're done.
Yeah.
So we did it for like 3-4 years. And everyone loved it. People were excited to go to work. Even the heavier people were like actually working out months ahead. And it just, because they wanted those 2 days.
Of course. But it always happens that way where, you have a lot of good things. You've had a long career. You have a lot of good things when you started, and they just constantly get taken away because of one idiot just screws it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I used to call it the doctrines, and I would name the doctrines. Yeah, that's the. And there's listen up. To be honest, there's a lot of Donaldson doctrines, but they were mostly memo-driven stuff. Because I had a large vocabulary, and my administration did not. So I would wield that vocabulary like a sword, pretty much to make it look stupid.
It's kind of like, hey, we have something in common.
Yeah. Listen, sometimes it's good to poke the bear.
Yeah.
It's good to poke the bear because when people get higher up in those positions, they get jealous of you. They get jealous. They see your stock is on the rise. They see you're squared away. They see you know what you're doing, and it's their job to make sure that they want to elevate you, but they don't want to get you above them because then they're going to push you down.
Crabs in a barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you run into that?
Oh, yeah. I did everything good with the team, this and that. Taught at the academy, but just that example, when it came for promotion, that's where like I passed this, passed that, but then it was like one person out of the 3 ranks that squashed certain numbers just to make sure I wouldn't get it.
So the one year on my evaluations, they cracked me. I mean, they cracked me on my one evaluation. And I know for a fact, like, here's the sad part. I know that certain administrators changed evaluations because I had the original evaluations because they were friends of mine. And they squashed it. So, again, trying to make lemonade out of lemons, I said, okay, you're saying that I have deficiencies. I put in for 50 schools that were all free. Every single one of them was free. Here's 50 schools that I want to go to. They denied me every single one of them. I said, well, then your evaluations don't hold weight. What are you talking about? I said, if you're saying I got deficiencies, I'm putting in for training so I don't have these deficiencies anymore, but you're denying me that training. Obviously, you don't believe your evaluations too much. So, listen, that was just my little fuck you.
Little zing.
Right.
That was my little fuck you.
Yeah, but that's a great point though, because the teachings I would give people in the academy, young recruits leaving, and like my son who just became a cop with the sheriffs, I would say, master your union contract, know your rules and regs and policies and procedures, because most of the rank when they move up, 90% of them don't know it. So when you know this stuff and you can skirt around certain things or something they're coming after you, well, according to this, and you read off the ramblings of the policy, past practice, this and that, where does that say? And you run into that. Oh, where does it say that? And then pull it out. Here you go. You wrote it.
Where a good leader
You signed off on it.
A good leader does exactly what you were saying. They surround themselves with the best.
Right.
Because ultimately, if you surround yourself with the best, not who you like, not who you're boys with,
Right.
If you do that, you are going to shine because they're going to elevate you. They're going to make you shine. And maybe one day one of them's going to shine brighter than you. And that's a great thing because you were the cause of that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because unlike most, I'm not threatened by that stuff. And I know a lot of people are very threatened by somebody trying to outshine their light.